as time and again I am watching that nice presentation made by Professor Narwal, remarks by Dr. Chauhan, and other dignitaries. So, in this session, as per my record, 27 delegates presented the paper, and all the delegates they have worked very hard to prepare their presentations, and they uh, wanted to present in a very comprehensive manner, but due to paucity of time, they could not do it in that way. Okay. Uh, so, despite that, candidates, majority of the candidates, they covered majority of the topics related to this seminar theme. Though some of the topics were in journal and they could have been related to this theme, but despite that, they it has been justice to the theme that majority of the paper were related to the directly related to the theme of the seminar. So. It will be really very time consuming if I analyze, give comments on each and every paper. So in general, I can say that some of the papers were very good and they have used both primary and secondary data. Empirical papers have also been presented by the delegates. They have basically formulated this hypothesis. Research design was very excellent in some of the papers, and means pattern of the presentations was very good, taking into consideration the introduction, then objectives, then methodology, then analysis, and then findings. So it means that it was a sincere effort on the part of the college that they have devised such terms and conditions and instructions for the paper presenters. And I think that the delegates have also tried to come up to the expectations of the organizing team of this national seminar. So if it is really a very relevant topic, keeping in with the scenario, and if we analyze that, if we analyze or discuss about the theme of the seminar, that is paradigm shift in business environment, as we know that this COVID-19 has impacted the entire civilization across the world. So we cannot figure out even a single aspect that has not been impacted by this COVID-19. And it has provided so many opportunities, but it also provided us the opportunity to look into back, to it to look into back and to go for introspection. As you know that while running in life we had left so many things, so now it is the time to analyze that what matters, and how we can plan, how we can manage. So in nutshell, if naturally business has undergone a major transformation, and we all have witnessed so many changes. Some of the papers presenters, they have made a very significant contribution in terms of findings like impact on environment. So we have seen through social media the impact of this COVID-19. Some positive and negative aspect means implications have been analyzed in some of the papers. So if we analyze the paradigm shift in business environment, so we have to analyze the shift in terms of position. We have to analyze what is our position, what was it, what it is, and how we can regain the lost glory. It needs to be it needs to be analyzed. Then we have to plan. So basically, planning future course of action, keeping in view our present position. Then perspective. What will be our perspective? As you know that now perspective have changed. Perspective has changed towards academics, towards cultural aspect, towards cultural. We had never expected so many changes in cultural aspect. 11 people are going for marriage, then 21, 51. Means in each and every aspect things have changed drastically. Then we have to see the projects, what type of projects. As you know that this pandemic has provided us the opportunity to go for various type of projects. In new, so many projects have emerged. So what project suits us? which project fits into our strategy, mission, objectives, goals, our resources, our inputs. So that has to be analyzed. And for that, last point will be preparedness. That how we are prepared. We have to analyze that how much we are prepared. Preparedness is must according to our position, plan, perspective, and projects. So these are the five parameters uh, which will be the basically towering pillars of business in the changing scenario. So I congratulate the organizing team, the principal sir, and the Department of Economics and Commerce for organizing such a wonderful event. So thank you, Dr. Sunit, Norilla sir, and other teams for your such a brilliant, painstaking effort. That despite that, sir, honestly speaking, we have been attending this online seminar, but the way the way means presentations were made by the candidates, so it is due to just shortage of time which so that otherwise students were well prepared, means they wanted to present, they wanted to that they should be allowed to present, they wanted to have more and more time. But despite that, it was a very wonderful event, and thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I sincerely thanks Chairperson of the session, Professor Subhash Chand, and all the delegates for being with us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are going to start valedictory session in a short while. Thank you so much.
A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you to this valedictory session of National Online Conference on Paradigm Shift in Business Environment by Department of Commerce and Economics. We have with us the chief guest of this valedictory session, Professor Neelam Dhanda, Department of Commerce, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. Welcome, ma'am. Now I would like to give a brief introduction of Professor Neelam Dhanda. She is Professor, Department of Commerce, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, and presently working as a chairperson, ICCASH, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. She has 30 years teaching experience. Her specialization are in the field of accounting, finance, and international business. She has completed UGC major research project entitled Exchange Rate Fluctuations and Indian External Sector. She is the active member of Academic Council, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, member faculty, Department of Commerce, Punjab University, Patiala, member faculty, Department of Commerce, HP University, Shimla, member of UG Board of Studies, Deen Bandhu Chotu Ram University of Science and Technology, Murthal. She is managing editor journal of Business Wisdom published by Department of Commerce, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. She participated in seminars, workshops as resource person or chairperson. She has supervised 13 PhD scholars and 5 are presently pursuing their PhDs under her supervision. She has published 1 book and 35 research articles. She acted as Deputy Chief Warden of Girls Hostel, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. and as Treasurer Kurukshetra University Teacher Association. She has also been the chairperson, Department of Commerce, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. Ma'am, your presence is indeed a source of great motivation for us. We are grateful to you for accepting our invitation and becoming chief guest of today's event. Now, I request you to deliver the valedictory address. Please, ma'am.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the organizers, the principal of the college, the organizing team of the college, managing committee of the college, the invited speakers who participated in the event, and the participants, delegates. Good afternoon, everybody. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be here on to interact the participants on a vital issue, that is a paradigm shift in business environment, particularly when the country is through a very critical phase of development, that is COVID pandemic, which has resulted in lockdown of every kind of business activity. Our lifestyle has changed as compared to routine lifestyle. Working habits have changed. So this is really a great time that the institutions should come forward and organize and concentrate upon development of such kind of deliberations, so that we're redefining our goals, exploring the opportunities for future growth. And this is a great initiative that has been taken by IB College Panipat, and the whole team deserves great applause. Since I joined the inaugural session of the seminar as well, whereby Professor R.K. Mittal, Vice Chancellor Chaudhry Bansilal Bhiwani, University Bhiwani, was the keynote speaker, and he highlighted every that challenge which the economy has experienced during the pandemic. He also highlighted the growth path which can be selected for achieving the potential of growth of the economy. And thereafter, the college has arranged great speakers like Dr. Pradeep Chauhan, Dr. Mahavir Narwal, Professor Subhash Chand, Dr. Ashok Chauhan. So everybody must have contributed their share, and hope your activity up to this stage was a wonderful activity, has benefited the participants, the students, and my address will be to highlight another major development or a key issue which has taken place during this pandemic time, when the country wanted to grow, but on the other hand, the revenue of the government that curtailed due to reduced business activities and further flows which were required. So here I'll be talking about the major development that has taken place, or it is another major shift of the economy which is going to have a far-reaching effect for each one of us, that is national monetization pipeline. That is basically a scheme that has been announced as a part of budget notification of Government of India for the session 21-22, and the purpose of the scheme is to arrange the capital for capital expenditure which is required for creating employment, especially for poor and unskilled, has a high multiplier effect enhances the future production capacity of the economy, and it will be resulting in high economic growth for the country. And keeping in view all these aspects, the scheme of national monetization pipeline has been announced as a announcement of union budget. It lays emphasis on monetizing operating public infrastructure assets for new infrastructure construction, because when we talk about the infrastructure construction, we need a huge amount of capital. So here the government has proposed to monetize its operating public infrastructure so as to create infrastructure for further development. And it was presented in the budget proposal itself, and the potential of this effect will be asset monetization dashboard observing. It will be used as a source of medium term. Basically, the scheme has been announced by government to finance its requirement from period 22 to 25. And if I just describe the volume it will be resulting in, the scheme is going to result in flow of resources to the tune of 6 lakh crores. So this is the amount which the government will be able to monetize once this scheme is implemented. The national monetization policy, it will co-terminus with balance period under national infrastructure pipeline and is estimated value of 6 lakh crores, which corresponds to 14% of proposed outlay of the center under national infrastructure pipeline scheme. What important sectors are covered as a part of this scheme? It will include more than 12 line ministries, more than 12 asset classes, and the sectors which are included are roads, ports, airways, railways, warehousing, gas and natural gas pipeline, power generation and transmission, mining, telecommunication, stadium, hospitality and housing. So this is the coverage of the scheme, and this is the volume of flow of capital that the government intends to collect with the help of this scheme. Asset monetization basically has been considered as a roadmap for ministries and agencies. It is directly not affecting the individuals, but indirect effect will be on each and every person who is using the services of the institutions which I have already named. So this is basically a tool devised by Government of India so as to collect medium-term capital requirement for expansion of infrastructure for the country, which is the need of the hour, so as to create the employment in the country and arrange resources for future growth. It will provide medium-term visibility to the investors on infrastructure assets pipeline, means whatever assets have been exchanged on account of this scheme will be observed by the government as well as the agencies which have taken control of these assets for effective usage of these assets. And it will provide a platform for ministries to track asset performance, means whatever assets and whatever is the usage of those assets will be monitored, recorded, and will be considered for evaluating the performance of the assets. bring in greater efficiency and transparency in public assets management, since whatever assets they'll be further used by the government as entrepreneurs, which will be participating as a part of this national monetization pipeline program, and both will be working together so as to provide better flow of resources for economic development of the country. Next, the coverage that I have already discussed. Next, sectoral breakup means whatever 6 lakh crores have to be collected, the identified 5 sectors include roads, which will contribute 27% of the targeted amount. Railways will be contributing 25% of the targeted amount. Power sector will be contributing 15% of the targeted amount. Oil, gas and pipeline will be contributing 8% of the targeted amount. Telecommunications, these are only the 5 sectors which are having the highest shares. Rest of the sectors will be having the target less than 4%, 6%. However, this target has been fixed for other sectors as well, that what is the expected level of contribution the government will be realizing on account of implementation of this scheme, and what will be the operating mechanism or the model for monetization of the assets. That has been defined as operate, maintain and transfer model. Basically, it will include the public-private partnership model, and this model first will be operated on the basis of operate, maintain and transfer. The operators will be maintaining the system and finally will transfer the asset back to the government once the tenure for this agreement is over. Second important aspect is toll, operate and transfer. Suppose any road which has already been constructed is not a toll road, maybe more tolls are added to, and the operators will be granted a right so as to maintain the road, and they will be allowed to collect the toll while the road is being used by the people of the country. Next, other model which will be working for it, that is operations, maintenance and development. Operations means they are allowed to take control of the assets, they'll be allowed to maintain the assets, and they will be allowed to expand, because there are certain sectors where expansion, diversification is the need of the hour, and for that purpose the PPP model will be taken care of, and the other party will be allowed to operate, maintain and develop the resource which has been provided by government as an agreement of this scheme. Next one is the rehabilitate, operate, maintain and transfer. Rehabilitation, basically if some project is to be shifted from one place to another place, and maybe there is some location which is not in proper shape for usage, then the agency will be allowed to rehabilitate, operate and maintain and finally transfer the asset to the government on completion of the contract. Structured financing vehicles will be trust-based investments. Trust-based investment basically are the institutions which are pooling their resources and investing their resources in diversified products or projects. So trust-based investment will be invited, because so far as this amount is concerned, that is 6 lakh crores. That is not a very small amount. Individuals may not be able to contribute this much of amount. So the yes. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Please continue.
And screen is also visible to
Yes,
you?
yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. So far as financing vehicles are concerned, one was the trust-based investment. Trust-based investment, a very simple example of trust-based investment is, say, mutual fund investment companies are concerned. These are considered as trust-based investment institutions. So these institutions will be allowed to participate in this kind of arrangement. Vehicle that pool capital from various investors, that is also another flow of funds will be permitted for arranging the funds for this particular scheme. And the capital market based, whereby infrastructure investment trusts and real estate investment trusts, these are allowed to participate so as to finance the projects which will be offered by Government of India or maybe by the state governments under monetization of assets. And total outlay of this scheme will be 6 lakh crores. So far as yearly targets are concerned, the targets under this scheme have been fixed as for the financial year 21-22, it will be 88 lakh crores will be the target. For the financial year 23, the target is 1.62 crores. For the financial year 23-24, the target will be 1.79 lakh crores. For the financial year 24-25, the target is 1.67 crores. So these are important targets that have been fixed by the government so as to raise funds for the capital projects. From this kind of mechanism, the government will be getting funds and they'll be invested for capital projects so as to develop the infrastructure of the country for future growth. So far as what will be the mechanism for valuing the assets and the resources. So regarding roads, it has been decided that market approach will be appropriate approach for making an estimate of how much capital can be realized on account of different roads which have to be offered for consideration and under the scheme. Then comes the ports. Here CAPEX approach, that is capital expenditure approach, how much capital expenditure is required for further expansion. Accordingly, number of ports will be identified and offered. Airports, again the capital expenditure approach. Railway station, different parameters have been considered and accordingly how much revenue be realized on account of these. And the government has identified different tracks, rails and other facilities for raising funds under the scheme. Next, power generation के लिए book value approach. Book value approach means how much amount has already been incurred for creating this power project. That will be considered as the basis of valuation. Next is the power transmission. Power transmission means market approach means how much money can be realized on account of similar kind of investment. Natural gas pipeline, the economic value approach will be considered. Product pipeline, it will be the economic value approach. Sports and stadiums, the capital expenditure approach. Warehousing. So these are different sectors. Earlier I talked about only the 5 important sectors which have been identified by government. Now these are the important sectors which have been identified, and these are not only under the control of central government. Rather, the government will be using the resources of different state governments as well, and accordingly, if the states are able to convert their assets and monetize them, the central government has announced the incentive schemes for different states, which will be doing it. Telecommunication sector, the capital expenditure approach has been suggested, And for fiber, asset market approach has been suggested. Mining, it will be the capital expenditure approach, and urban housing redevelopment. As I was talking about, maybe certain locations have been developed, but these are not suitable as per present requirements. So the urban housing redevelopment has to be done. So for that purpose, the capital expenditure will be followed for valuing the assets of the project for monetization purpose. So this is a scheme which has been announced by government, recently offered for implementation. Here, I'll say that this should be your takeaway from this webinar from my side, because this is a new scheme. So many important sectors have been covered as a part of scheme. Government will be using the assets of these particular sectors for monetization purpose. And while such assets are offered to private entrepreneurs, the agreements which have to be drafted on the part of government as well as on the part of the private entrepreneurs which will be coming forward for participating in this kind of plan, that has to be drafted very carefully. Otherwise, the cost of these services which will be or which are available on account of these projects will be affected. And maybe in case of India, we have disproportionate distribution of income. Means everybody is not well off, everybody is not very poor also. We have two different extremes where people are having very high level of income, and people are having no income or very low level of income. So the cost of the services which will be available or which will be offered after monetization of these assets, that has to be taken care of, particularly for the weaker section of the society. Otherwise, the whole distribution of wealth will be affected, and that will not be good for the economic system. So very careful guidelines have to be drafted and further implemented for this scheme. Next, I'll be talking about other sectors also, because here the seminar has focused on paradigm shift in business environment. And so far as our business environment is concerned, we will be covering all different sectors. Professor R.K. Mittal in the morning told us that Indian economy predominantly is an agro-based economy, and I do agree that even till date, 50% of our population is dependent on agriculture sector, but the contribution of this particular sector is as low as 17%, or maybe it has reduced to 15%. So all these factors are resulting in two kind of problems relating to this sector. One is the disguised unemployment, and other is the non-competitive pricing, which is affecting the value of realization of crops to the farming community. So the government, though the government wants to increase the income of the farmers by 2020, I don't know whether it will be able, we are able to double the income, but still, if we want to improve the performance of the agri sector, we have to focus upon certain areas, and one of the important area is that irrigation facilities, where we are not having proper irrigation facility, the yield or the output of agri sector is affected. So the state should take into consideration the irrigation facilities which are required in different locations by the farming community, and accordingly, if they are provided that kind of resources, this sector can grow further and can feed Indian population in a better way. And finally, if 50% of the population is getting good income, of course, our GDP will be growing at a faster rate. Second is, since in agri sector, there is a problem that we are having the output of agri sector at same point of time, and if it is not properly warehoused, it may not be realizing its real value. So improvement in warehousing facilities are required so as to reach to the potential of the agri sector growth, and cold storages, particularly in respect of respect of cash crops. That is another area which has to be focused upon. So these are important aspects which we have to take care of so as to improve our productivity relating to the agri sector. Next, I'll be highlighting another important area which has affected, and here I am showing you the value of Sensex that has changed. And if you observe the figures, perhaps you will feel that this is an area where we have not affected the yield, where the investors have not been adversely affected on account of COVID pandemic. So this is considered as an area where the Indian economy is having a great potential. And regarding return, which is calculated only on the basis of Sensex, previously the rate of return was 17.8%, but during COVID period, the stock indices have resulted in 34%, 33% return, that is calculated on the basis of index. So far as the return on specific indices are concerned, return on specific securities are concerned, I have met the investors who told me that their return during this period was around 50%, 60%. If your money is being doubled in the stock market within a period of 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, of course, this has to be taken care of. But perhaps when industry was affected adversely, when our services sector was affected adversely, I'm unable to understand the kind of growth the stock indices have resulted in. This is perhaps due to participation of more number of investors. And here I would like to inform you that during the year 2021, the total number of new Demat accounts which were opened, it was 142 lakhs. It means 142 lakh new investors were added to. Here another dimension which I would like to help advise, that is the net foreign portfolio investment was rupees 271.1 thousand crores. That was highest after 14-15. So these are two important factors perhaps that have these are not based upon, the return is not based upon the fundamental analysis. The return is estimated on the basis of the new participants that have been added to stock market. And secondly, the net foreign investment that has flown in our stock markets, that has resulted in increase in the prices of the listed security. And of course, when investors are getting good returns, their participation and enthusiasm in stock market will be more in future as well. So this is another important area where we have to be cautious of, that what kind of investment decisions as an investors we can take, what kind of investment decisions our institutional investors should take, what kind of regulations we are having regarding foreign portfolio investment, and how we should control if they are unfairly influencing the return of the stock market. So this is something new or unusual, which I personally experience, that when other sectors or our industry has not been affected favorably, how we can have such kind of return. And I was reading somewhere that the value of Sensex after 2 years is expected to cross the level of 2 lakhs, but that will be perhaps beyond my imagination. I don't suggest that anybody should take investment decision keeping in view such kind of volatile environment in our securities market. Another important change that has taken place, because The small-scale industrial units have played a great role in our economy in terms of providing employment, in terms of contributing for the society, in terms of per capita use, productivity of the capital. And the present government has redefined the limit.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am. I think there is some network issue. Ma'am, I request you to leave the meeting and rejoin, please. There is some network problem. She'll be here in a moment. Please wait.
Hello.
Welcome back, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
Okay. There was power failure and disconnection in the meet.
Yes.
So apologize for the same. And continuing further, then there is another important sector that is the
Ma'am,
real estate.
ma'am,
Yes. Yes.
ma'am, I request you to please share your screen again.
Because that is not available on my mobile phone, so I'll not be able to add up on the screen right now.
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
Okay, but there are quite simple things which we'll be talking about now. That is the real estate sector, because this real estate sector, to my opinion, is a sector which is having forward and backward linkages for employment creation and improving the growth of the country. But due to certain problems during the COVID pandemic, the sector has suffered from the problem of unsold inventory, the problem of realization of the installment money from the buyers of the homes, and the financial problem relating to their borrowings from bank and financial institutions for the construction work. Moreover, the labor migration, because most of the people working in such kind of construction companies, they were from other states, and during the COVID pandemic, they shifted from their place of work to their native place. That has resulted another kind of problem. But this particular sector can be used as an opportunity because working from home, that has resulted each house as an office, and it has increased the demand of the houses which are comparatively big. Moreover, if you just note down the prevalent interest rate, you will find the interest rate particularly applicable for purchase of house, that is home loan scheme. The interest rates are quite low at the present time, and this can be considered as an opportunity where the borrowers will be using this opportunity, buying more houses, it will be creating demand, and finally this sector is expected to grow. And if your housing sector is growing or construction industry is growing, of course it will be resulting in a revival of steel industry, resulting in revival of cement industry, resulting in revival of other inputs which are required for construction industry. So this is relating to construction industry. And further, finally concluding my presentation, in the light of present circumstances, that this COVID may be considered as an opportunity as well as a challenge for the economy, and Indian economy has been able to cope up with the challenges that were posed by COVID pandemic. And first important challenge that has resulted in an opportunity, that each house has become a corporate office. You will find, particularly those who are working in IT sector, that everybody has come back to the home and is working from office. It is resulting in saving of their traveling time. It is resulting in saving of their cost. And again, as per my perception, I am expecting that work from home practice is going to continue in the economic system for future, and accordingly it will be it is a case of win-win situation, both the employee as well as the employer, because the employer is getting the output at the desired level. Moreover, the employee are comfortable at their home, but for that purpose they require a corner of the home which can be used as an office by them. So if that requirement is met by the real estate and construction sector, of course, that will be a win-win position for the employer as well as employee. Moreover, each house has become an educational institution. Most of the kids have completed their कोर्सेज. देखिए कोविड पैंडेमिक के दौरान चाहे क्लासेस कम लगी ज़्यादा लगी, डिग्री सभी को मिली है, चाहे हमने उसको ऑनलाइन मोड में कंडक्ट किया चाहे ऑफलाइन मोड में किया, and that has resulted in a change in our working attitude and environment. So each house has become an educational institution during the COVID pandemic. Moreover, home isolation of patients has converted each house as a healthcare center, because when particularly this decision was taken by the CM of Delhi, when he experienced that if everybody who is suffering from corona or is having symptoms of corona coming to the hospital, perhaps in no case we can accommodate them in the hospitals. So he assured some basic facilities on the part of state government, and the patients with mild symptoms were allowed to stay at home. So each home has become a hospital, and most of the patients recovered well while they were staying at home. So that is another achievement of the economy and change that has taken place in our economic and social system. This COVID pandemic has helped us to live with some reduced resources. We don't think to buy more now, and that is the effect of the situation which the country has experienced. Moreover, इफेक्टिव मैनेजमेंट, देखिए कोविड पेंडेमिक के दौरान भी ना हमें खाने पीने की चीज़ों की कमी महसूस हुई और ना ही हमें दवाइयों की कमी महसूस हुई. दैट इज द इफेक्टिव management of supply chain management, and particularly the government agencies were quite vigilant in monitoring and implementing the resources for the situation. So it means we can work well, and we can work with the technology, we can work under exceptional circumstances. So these are important developments that have taken place, that have resulted in a change in our attitude. And finally, I'll suggest that an economy can grow where we can offer mass quality public education. Secondly, we can develop a strong, healthy system for the people of the country. Moreover, FDI intervention on the part of global agencies on the basis of multilateral and bilateral trade relations is going to continue, and will accordingly we have to develop our strategies. We have to monitor our growth, we have to take into consideration what strengths our economic resources are having, what strengths our people are having, and accordingly we can develop our strategies for further growth. So I congratulate again the organizers for taking the initiative, organizing the event in a well organized manner, and hope you must have learned some new dimensions which you will carry to your institutions, and you will be serving better your institutions after attending this seminar. And I am thankful to the organizers for providing me the opportunity to participate in this particular seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge with us. Now it's time for feedback. I request delegates to provide feedback about the conference.
Yes, myself, Dr. Anuj, Associate Professor, DAV College, पेवा. क्या मेरी आवाज पहुंच रही है मैडम?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
ऑडिबल. आज के इस राष्ट्रीय संगोष्ठी के संयोजक आईबी कॉलेज प्रबंधकीय समिति, आईबी कॉलेज के प्राचार्य गर्ग साहब और आईबी कॉलेज इस संगोष्ठी के 2 कन्वीनर नरूला जी और सुनीत शर्मा जी के सभी के गत्यात्मक नेतृत्व के परिणाम स्वरूप आज इस कॉन्फ्रेंस का सफल समायोजन हुआ है और ये हमारे लिए डेलीगेट्स के रूप में एक शैक्षणिक जागृति के रूप में अवसर हमने पाया है। ये शैक्षणिक जागृति इस महाविद्यालय के माध्यम से प्रारंभ की गई है, जो एक लंबे अरसे से नीरस पड़ी हुई थी। तो इस नीरसता में सरसता भरने का काम, जैसे सागर में गागर भरने का काम जो है इस महाविद्यालय ने किया है, और ये सभी डेलीगेट्स के लिए एक आगे बढ़ने का शुभ अवसर हमें इस संगोष्ठी के माध्यम से मिला है। तो मैं सभी डेलीगेट्स की तरफ से आप सभी संयोजकों का धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा कि आपने ये शुभ अवसर हमें प्रदान किया, और इस शुभ अवसर में आपने इतने शैक्षणिक जो विद्वान हैं उनको हमें सुनने का अवसर प्रदान किया, जिसमें प्रारंभिक सत्र से लेकर जिसमें प्रोफेसर मित्तल साहब का जो प्रारंभिक सत्र था, मैंने प्रारंभ से लेकर और अंत तक इस संगोष्ठी को पूरा सुना, और मुझे इस संगोष्ठी को सुनने के बाद और अपने वक्तव्य एक डेलीगेट्स के रूप में अपने पेपर के माध्यम से प्रस्तुत करने के बाद बड़ा ही सुखद अनुभव प्राप्त हुआ, और इस अनुभव को मैं अपने जीवन में और अपनी शैक्षणिक संस्था के लिए आगे एक मार्गदर्शिका के रूप में प्रयोग करने का प्रयास करूंगा, और इसके लिए जो है अपनी जो शैक्षणिक संस्थाएं हैं उनको प्रोत्साहित करूंगा। तो मैं सभी डेलीगेट्स की तरफ से ये इस सफल प्रोग्राम का जो समायोजन इन आयोजकों के माध्यम से हुआ है, उन सभी को धन्यवाद करता हूं, और इस सेमिनार के लिए और इस संस्था की जो टीम वर्क है उसको सैल्यूट करता हूं, उसको नमन करता हूं कि इतनी तन्मयता से और इतनी शिद्दत से आप सभी ने इस आयोजन को सफल किया, तो आप सभी इसके लिए धन्यवादी हैं। और मैं सिर्फ आज के जो विद्वत विज्ञान के जितने भी आज प्रेजेंटर थे, चाहे वो डेलीगेट्स थे या आपने जिन विद्वानों को यहाँ पर बुलाकर हमारी जो नॉलेज है उसका ज्ञानवर्धन किया, उसको प्रोत्साहित किया, तो उन सभी के लिए आपको धन्यवाद देता हूं। और आप सभी संयोजकों के लिए और जो विद्वान आपने बुलाए उनके लिए दो पंक्तियां कहना चाहता हूं, और इन पंक्तियों के माध्यम से आपको अपनी वाणी को विराम दूंगा। पंक्तियां इस प्रकार से है। पसीने की स्याही से लिखे पन्ने कभी कोरे नहीं होते, पसीने की स्याही से लिखे पन्ने कभी कोरे नहीं होते, जो करते हैं मेहनत उनके सपने कभी अधूरे नहीं होते, उनके सपने कभी अधूरे नहीं होते। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for your feedback. Now I request another delegate to give feedback.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Myself, Gaurav Barija, Assistant Professor in Commerce, Maharaja Agrawal College, Jagadhri, and Research Scholar, LBU Fagwada. And my good evening greetings to all the distinguished personalities available here on the dais, honorable speakers. It was a pleasure being a part of this one-day national conference on paradigm shift in business environment, organized by the Department of Economics and Commerce of the esteemed college. My congratulations and gratitude to the young and dynamic principal, Honorable Dr. Ajay Garg for his visionary leadership, Dr. Narula and Dr. Sunit Sharma, Dr. Ajay Pal Chauhan, Ms. Madhvi, for successfully managing this event, and everyone from the team was available on just a single request, single message. I've seen from the earlier morning, people were requesting and raising very small issues, and they were responding very fast. My congratulations to the organizing team and especially the technical team, because such kind of events are possible just because of this, a strong technical team. And today's successful seminar is itself a proof that this pandemic is just a hindrance, and we can, if we will, we can organize anything. And today's seminar is undoubtedly a proof that pandemic can be a hindrance, but it cannot stop us from learning and continuing this process of learning, unlearning, and relearning. We have witnessed honorable speakers like Professor Pradeep Chauhan, Dr. R.K. Mittal, Dr. Mahavir Narwal, Dr. Subhash, and Madam Dhanda was also there. And once again, a very big and huge congratulations to the organizing team for successfully organizing this event and proving that yes, we can do anything and everything. And my wish for all the future ventures to IB College. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Sunit Sharma, convener of the National Conference, to propose vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, all of you. Respected chief guest of this valedictory session, Madam Dr. Neelam Dhanda ji, member of the governing body IBPG College, Principal Dr. Garg, Dr. Mohammad Ishaq, IUKC in charge of our college, and the entire organizing committee, and dear delegates. On behalf of my college, IQAC and organizing committee of this conference, I stand before you to express my gratitude to one and all for contributing the success of this program in one way or the other. The energies and efforts from Department of Commerce resulted in a success accumulation of this academic event. This entire day of deliberations has been a very nice experience for me, and I hope it is true for everyone present here. I do not know where to start from, but when I am bestowed with the responsibility of vote of thanks, I take this as my privilege to say a few words. For mostly our sincere thanks is due to DGHE for approving our proposal, the worthy chief guests for the inaugural and valedictory session obliged us by sparing their really valuable time for us. Our distinguished keynote speakers and session chairpersons deserve special mention here, and we are indebtedly to them for all the efforts they undertook to make this program fruitful for everyone. The worthy governing body of IBPG College has always been in full support, thus encouraging us to go ahead and organizing this national conference. For this, we are really grateful. Our worthy principal, Dr. Ajay Kumar Garg, has always been a driving force, and the gratitude cannot be expressed in word. We wish that his energy remains at highest level so that we can move further forward under his able guidance. We are extremely grateful to the most important component of this program, the delegates from various parts of the country and state who have really made this conference a successful. Your kind cooperation and patient listening during the program throughout the day was really commendable. We, as a team IB College, stand thankful to you all. To make this things brief, I'm not going to announce the name of the entire team of workers from IB College, which made every effort tirelessly to achieve best result in the present time of trouble and restrictions. Every one of you deserved a loud applause. The team on stage, the team behind the stage, and the technical team, the pre-conference preparation, everyone proud their input, and the result, a successful organization of yet another program by our college. Let me end with a straightforward wording. We tried to make this program glitch-free and flawless. Despite all our hard work, if there have been any shortcoming on our end, I sincerely regret on behalf of the organizing committee. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir. Now we are sharing the link of feedback form in the WhatsApp group. Delegates are requested to fill the form. Certificates will be issued only to those who will fill the feedback form. Now I request all of you to stand for national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे
Thanks everyone once again.